So yeah, we're back again here with the promotional race. Getting the qualification underway in perfect form is DirtenDK. DirtenDK who's in the qualifying hot seat for our team here. We're running a nice Kokyo sponsored car. This is a 1-meg Toyota 86 Group 4 race. So we're all running the same car, we're all running the same setup. Unfortunately, Dirten picked up a bit of damage on his outlap here, so he's gonna have to come around again to get that fixed. In practice, unsurprisingly, MNT ATT 27G, the catchy Frenchman, was proving his pace once again. He's won one of these in the Cayman before. Schosse 97, as it's pronounced in German, approximately. Also showed some very, very strong pace, as well did the ERT team. Pretty much everyone on their team in this race has been racing in this promotional race before, and they're all obviously very talented racers. So quite the stacked grid we have here as well. A bit of a slow car there on the right, but he's just holding off. The experience of that Iris Racing team showing once again as he gets that done cleanly. So everyone's, as you might have noticed by now, everyone's on sports soft for this race, which definitely changes the dynamic of the car. Running Group 4 cars on racing tires, most of the time they're actually pretty well behaved, most of them. Running this car, as I'm just wondering why he didn't pit to fix the damage. So we see a complete reset to get that damage fixed, because I think he simply forgot to pit to fix the damage there. A lot of things to take care of here, and I think it's a bit stressful to be the driver as well when you have a guy commenting on what you do live. As you do it, calling it shot by shot. I think he's just getting used to that as well. Hope everyone's settling in here. Still just working out these levels on the audio. We changed the setup between the two streams, so I apologize if the sound was a bit loud. Still early going. The race here will be 1.5 hours long. I might also be wrong about that. It was 1.5 hours the last time. I'm being told here that we're talking about 29 laps. 29 times 2.24 is going to be numbers. So it's still going to be more than an hour, but let's see how quickly we can get it done. Early going here, we're seeing ATT putting down that pace as I was predicting. Yeah, 224.9. That's certainly nowhere near what I did in my 10 minutes of complete practice before this, and I don't think it's very close to what Dirten's able to pull off here either, but he does have a car without damage, so let's see what he can do once he gets out on that flyer. Schosse 97 also putting in a pace similar to what I predicted. Oh, and as I say that, he sets the fastest lap. So Schosse 97 here on the provisional pole position. Alex Nismo 23 of Great Britain also proving that he can go very fast around imaginary France. He's in virtual P3 right now. He gets a good exit. It looked like it was on the edge, and that's what it has to look like in a car like this, on tires like these. This is understeer city until it becomes oversteer city. Certainly a nice dynamic to go racing with, as he takes 4th through the first right-hander. I took 3rd through there. car right. Still there. Clear. As I double as the commentator and the spotter here for this race, obviously I'm doing my team a great disservice because I don't think Dirten is on full concentration because of this. Oh, as GT Alex puts in a great little mention there that Alex Nismo is actually Alex Buncombe, which is pretty cool if you know who he is. Yeah, this is actually, even though this is a promotional race and it's supposed to be more of a wider gap field on skill, it's still a very strong still a very strong grid. I'm very excited for this race. Yeah, well, Stevie, you know, we're supposed to fit in as many Murrayisms as we're able to here. Oh, and we have a thirsty driver here. He's looking to get some service.
I was actually...
Gimme, you will not have the drink. You will not have the drink.
Well, I was actually looking to fulfill...
but will I have the water? No.
I was looking to fulfill a meme and ask for coffee.
Oh, you want some coffee? Breaking news on Half the Race Gone here as DirtenDK wants coffee for the first time ever on a broadcast. Dirten is concerned with coffee. So we have Martin coming in with a quick question here. How long the race is? Well, I was calling it 1.5 hours, and I'm not quite right there. It's 29 minutes, as we're actually 5 minutes from the start of the race here. It's going to be not 29 minutes, 29 laps, of course. So you can do the maths yourself because I'm unable to as of this. Let's see how this goes as we get the final preparations underway from Dirten here. Just making sure that his sleeves are up to FIA spec here. You need that fireproofing around the wrists if you have a big accident. So he's just making sure that everything's good with the fire protective gear that he has on in the car. Otherwise, he's gonna just have to pour chocolate milk all over it. Kokyo, of course, being a Danish chocolate milk brand, a very good one as well.
Stuck.
Well, not quite sure what to say about that. So yeah, so it's the rare stuck on grid bug, which I've always been quite fortunate not to encounter too much myself, but you see it every once in a while. Stevie hitting us with the early F's in chat for the sad start we see here. Hopefully we're gonna have a restart, but it remains to be seen.
Unless I guess we can commentate the race, if not.
We can commentate on who passes.
Or we can just jump out, spectate, and commentate.
Jump out and spectate, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to have...
No. Well. Okay, so jumping out here, we're going to just quickly teleport into the commentator's booth. MNT Lamso.
We're just going to rejoin.
Yeah, we're going to have a quick reconnect to the server here just to make sure that we're getting all of the information correctly, and we'll be with you quickly with some top-notch banter. I don't know if that's going to be top-notch banter. That's a shame, ladies and gentlemen. I was actually looking forward to that. Last time we did a split seat, it was really fun. Oh, everything seems to be coming apart at the seams here. We have controllers flying all over the place. Wires just getting flown. Well, not too much of a bummer, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a one-make race in underpowered cars on a track that has a lot of straights, which is... It's always going to be good entertainment. Slipstreaming is going to be happening. So
just a second.
And we're back again in the commentary booth. You must be out of breath, Dirten. You ran right from the pit lane straight up into the commentary booth where I was sitting within, well, less than a minute. That's the best sector time we've seen from the paddock to the commentary booth since Murray Walker was a young guy.
Well, indeed, yeah. I tried to do my best to make that quick, but certainly a little bit panicky all of a sudden. I was really looking forward to this drive again. So such a bummer being stuck on the line.
Yeah, and especially for you, because you, as the regulars on the channel will know, he ran the Toyota 86 Group 4 in the monthly Group 4 races that we do now, both of us do. Last season he did that in the Toyota and did very, very well in it, so I think the Toyota has a special place in the heart of DirtenDK. DirtenDK, who just vaporized again. And we're off to quite the beginning of the race here. Schosse 97 is flying away from Dr. Hash and Alex Nismo 23, who are locked in a tight battle for position. We've seen several little openings, and they're all being exploited here, and they're losing a bit of pace because of it, but they're both looking very, very fast. Dr. Hash, a driver we didn't get to mention in the chaos of qualifying, but certainly a name that some of you will remember. He's been in the series before and is a very, very strong driver. I'm getting a lot of instructions here, but I understand none of them.
No, I just it was just for the camera on the pad to watch to the sides if you wanted to. Oh. Put it in perfect position.
Like
for the
this?
Mic. Yeah, exactly. Just
side watching.
Just do that. But you were perfectly placed before.
Your ass was perfectly placed.
But now I can't.
Can we commentate on the race, please? There's a race happening.
So Alex Nismo, actually a latecomer. He was an official joiner as late as today for this race, and I was quite surprised to see drivers this level show up for the promotional race. But interesting indeed. Schosse, our pole setter, has got off to a flying start. A friend of Dr. Hash, if I'm not completely mistaken, so a beautiful 1-2 for the Germans there.
Yeah, and maybe even a perfectly orchestrated bit of teamwork there, because Dr. Hash certainly was holding up Alex Nismo for a while there, and now it seems to be playing off even better than that, because he's making a break for it from Alex here.
He certainly is. He certainly is.
Unaleska here also just tagging along for now. He might have had a bit more trouble in the beginning. It was hard to tell because we were stuck on the grid and rearranging things, but he's certainly on a fast pace and he still has visual contact, and that was a very skittish moment as I said that. But yeah, these cars are a bit unruly on sports soft tires. It's a lot of fun as a driver, but it's hard to get a consistent pace out of a car on crappy rubber like this.
Yeah, and it's very hard to get used to also that you all of a sudden in such a car have to turn in so early.
Yeah.
You experience just masses of understeer is what I think, until the car starts going sideways, Unaleska, a bit to the left, a bit to the right, goes dancing there for the final corner.
Very easy to over-adjust once the car starts sliding as well, because the front tires actually grip pretty well, the rear tires less so. Especially in a transition, as you'd call it, in in a drift situation. As we see it again there, it's hard not to overcorrect in those situations. And we're seeing Unaleska here. He's probably done a bit of sliding in this car because he doesn't seem to be struggling with that as of yet.
In 5th position at the moment, it's Tomamas, and he's followed by our 2 friends from the Aries racing team. It's the Doctor and it's Hobby behind. Then it's GT Scott in P8 at the moment. As they come through the downhill S's here, a very tricky section to get right in this car. Very easy to get it wrong as well if you come onto the bridge. Going on board with the Doctor himself. And a car with a number that Mr. Trous will be familiar with indeed.
46?
Oh, he's 46. Oh,
it's Valentino Rossi's number. The Doctor.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The Doctor.
The Doctor. Indeed.
Il Dottore.
I just, never mind. Hobby's still within range and behind. Let's check out with an interview. Oh, as GT Scott is definitely within the slipstream. As it's battle on for P7.
Oh, he is indeed going like a Scott missile coming down that straight.
Well done there with the overtake indeed from GT Scott. Oh, and he's a little under pressure. And you would expect him so with Hobby right in his slipstream as they enter the final sector. And a lot of sweeping to be done once more. But they're doing a hecking well job of it. Oh, as both are quite close to the edge there. Oh, a little scrape of the wall, but nothing that would do anything else than just take a kilometer or 2 off of it. Let's go on board with Scott and the rearwards facing cam. And with Dr. Rob in front, he's just making a slight break for it as we go on board with Hobby indeed. Oh, and a little bit of a drift from the young Dutchman. It seems to, for some reason...
I can make the car disappear, y'all. Whoop!
Oh, it's by pressing forward so the car disappears. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it seems you faced Hobby there as well.
Sorry about that, Hobby.
We just lost out on the bridge entrance.
Didn't mean to put you off there. I didn't realize I had powers of invisibility, so obviously I had to try it for a second.
And we've also yet to mention that Wizard, I don't know if you mentioned it before, but Wizard is also in this race, so 3 ERT drivers. Actually hadn't seen Wizard whatsoever. Then
no, he's been anonymous. He was looking to be setting some quite anonymous times during the qualifying, and he must have started far back, unless he's had some incident. And 2.8 seconds up to Lamso. Lamso, that's a great name.
Lamso, that is a brilliant name indeed.
Lamso. I could get used to saying that. So, meanwhile, something we haven't mentioned at all, ATT 27G, he has a penalty.
He has a penalty at 2.4 seconds, but he's 26 seconds down at the leader. Yeah. He was one of the fast runners during qualifying.
He was the winner of.
He was the winner.
The first one.
He was the winner of the Cayman, and he took part in the F1 race as well.
Yep, that he did. And
so
did pretty well as well.
Indeed, so huge disappointment for him already so early in the race to be, well, pretty much out of contention. I'm just going to see if we can get the lap timer on, or is it a timed race? Well, the confusion is total then for me, because I thought it was 29 laps.
We might have fed you misinformation all the way through. We have basically a pretty loose grip on what's going on here. We're not quite sure what is happening.
No, it's
probably the least prepared of the streams we've had recently. We usually do our preparations.
Yeah.
For this one, we thought we would be racing, so we thought we'd get around it. Oh, as we have a disconnect from the doctor here. F's in chat for Mr. Rossi.
Indeed, F's in chat for Dr. Rob. That is a shame to see, indeed. Let's check in with the leader, but not to overshadow the disconnect. That is really a shame to see. And oh yeah, Shots is still leading. He's leading by almost 5 seconds, so it's looking really strong at the moment. Dr. Hash is holding on to second.
Yeah, that start for Shots was just perfect. He couldn't have asked for a better situation. The second and third guys in that beginning were immediately locked into a tough battle, and that will inevitably cost him some time. So yeah, that was just perfect for Shots. He could get out there, pick up his qualifying pace immediately and build up a gap, and yeah, by now he can think about his strategy. If he needs to save a little bit, he can hold off to be safe. Yeah, it's pretty much, if he's intelligent about it, it's yeah, it's all playing into his hands right now.
That's true. So he has all opportunities to make it his race. We are on board with Alex Nismo at the moment, on his way through the final sector. He's trying to close the gap up to Dr. Hash in front, but it seems quite static at the moment, just around 2 seconds. Although with a comfortable advantage of almost 4.5 seconds down to Junaleska in 4th position at the moment. It's Tomamas in 5th with Gigi Scott up in 6th position, Hobby 7th, Lanzo in 8th. And then just having a look at the lower running order, it's Wizard, it's ATT's 27 and T2 in 11th. And Schlosser with the fastest lap so far, 24.3, so that's also a swift one indeed.
Very much so. As I said, immediately he was able to pick up that qualifying pace, and he did just that. So yeah, that was obviously the laps that gave him that advantage that he has now. But he doesn't seem to be slowing down at all, and you have to wonder if he's able to push that max pace for this long of a race.
It seems like Wizard is on pause here. So an issue for Wizard as well.
Big trouble for the Eris Racing team here. We've had a disconnect, and we've had some form of invisibility wizardry going on with the Wizard himself.
Yeah, indeed. They could have they could and would have hoped for a much better start to the race. Although I could safely say that no one got a worse start to the race than we did.
No, I think that's pretty safe to say that, Dirten. So that means all of the pressure is on Hobby, or Weepy if you want. He's gonna have to perform well enough to do all three of these guys proud, and demanding guys I think they are indeed. Shoss is just continuing to build ever so slowly on that gap, as is Dr. Hash. Junaleska now up into P3.
Did we just see disconnect from Alex Nismo? Did he just disappear?
Did he pit?
No, he just disappeared, because I just saw him. He literally just disappeared.
Race is crumbling, ladies and gentlemen. Imaginary France is an unstable region of the world.
It certainly is a lot of problems already faced here. As we're following Junaleska on his way around, but he's pretty much on an island for the time being. But in behind, GT Scott and Tomamas quite close.
I'll tell you what, that has got to be the most expensive looking Toyota I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Gold rims, sponsored by IWC, who, for those of you who don't know, are makers of some pretty expensive watches.
And it's also got some other Swiss watches and
bit of Hugo Boss, as I think is by now more correct than Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss.
We are in France after all. Ah, what a bummer. with the goddamn...
What a bummer. What a bummer, you guys.
What a bummer, you guys.
What a bummer to see the chat and it's all just sad stuff by now.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
As another disconnect. What a bummer.
It's confirmed there that Alex Nesmo is disconnected. What a bummer. Bummer. But that leaves GT Scott up into P4, impressively so.
Yeah, indeed.
He's had a very nice beginning of the race here, and it's all working out pretty good for him in his very expensive looking car.
In the expensive Toyota, he's certainly been making the most of the ill fortunes of everyone else, basically, and has found his way up to 4th position. Also employing some clever driving here as Thomas is looking to maybe throw one up the inside, but
one man's dead, another man's bread.
One man's dead, another man's bread. As Hobby now has picked up another piece of penalty.
Oh no, he's bread.
No, he's bread.
He's bread now.
Oh, that's brilliant stuff. So Hobby still 6th, but he's now picked up a penalty, and Lamso and ATT is coming back, and ATT up into 8th position. He's been on an absolute flyer. As he does get the move done on Lamso, it seems. No real opportunity out of cutback. Let's have another look at that one. What?
Or not.
Or not. So our...
The replay function won't work either, which is very unfortunate, because that was the best part of what we were able to salvage. We love that replay function here at the race car.
We surely love that replay function. It makes
F's out in chat for the replay function.
Yeah.
Or not, whatever.
So we have Alex in chat mentioning that you think that
Alex had
GT Alex mentions that Alex Nismo had some IRL stuff.
The rare double Alex.
The rare 2 Alexes at once. So, as it's ATT who was flying right before.
He's not having any of this mid-pack racing. He really is pushing everything out of it, and we saw him just pushing a bit too far there. Going on the grass, losing a bit of time. Weeby is making it back up, and he's getting into the slipstream here, which is what you're looking for. I think on this track and this car, to be honest, if you can stay cool and try to work together a little bit, that will actually be an advantage compared to a single car. Obviously, I'm saying that as we're coming into the downhill S's, which probably isn't one of the places where that will be the case. I gotta say, looking at the front of those cars, sometimes it feels a little bit Peugeot-less.
Yeah, with the mouth.
Yeah, it looks,
underneath.
Yeah, especially with the red accents around that one. It looks like a Peugeot 406.
Yeah, a small.
The coupe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Farina coupe one.
A coupe that has been on a diet.
Yeah. It's an odd diet that shrink the whole thing, like scaled it down.
Yeah,
mainly.
Indeed. Wizard now 9th, and T2 running 10th, but quite a bit of way back. Our leader Schosse, he is just flying away, almost 7 seconds in front of Dr. Hash, and he has yet to pick up a penalty. So you can say it's smooth sailing so far for our race leader. Mr. Hash, Dr. Hash is
Mr. Hash.
Mr. Hash.
Mr. Hash is doing the exact same here. He has an almost identical gap to that of Schosse. And Unaleska has gotta be wondering if he's able to make up any of the gap to P2, let alone P1 by now.
So there's quite a bit of space now between the first 3, but then in behind with the battle for 4th position is still alive.
Actually, quite surprised. I'm quite surprised that it's this spaced out. in the front, but I guess some of it can be attributed to the Sports Soft tires. It is a bit harder to...
as GT Scott almost loses it, and that in turn leaves AGT close. He's also got the better of Tomamas. He's really on a charge up through the pack. And I think he goes through on this one. He certainly does. Oh, that's a very brave place to put in an overtake. In the downhill S sector down
Still
towards
gets
the
it way
bridge.
out to the left to make sure that he gets his fastest line.
Oh, and that's GT Scott. And he's got it all wrong. And that's going to cost him a lot of time because it's damaged. And he has to go all the way around and then into the pits to get it fixed. So that puts him out of contention unless everybody else manages to have the same amount of bad luck at some point during the race. You wouldn't bet on that.
Pretty much the entire track has walls right next to the track, so the chance is there, but I'm not sure it's going to happen to the entire field. Yeah,
it's a very
unlikely.
It's a very unforgiving track indeed. It most certainly is. And there's really just a couple of corners having any kind of runoff. So mistakes are usually penalized with cold hard collateral damage. GT Scott trying to salvage as much as possible. Now if it's only aero or suspension damage, and if it's not so bad that
I'd be very surprised if he didn't have damage to the suspension on that left rear side.
Yeah.
After that impact, and I feel like you can see it as well by the lines he's choosing, and he was actually right on the curb there, but otherwise he's tried to stay clear of the track edges.
And he is pitting in,
diving for the pits there immediately, unsurprisingly so.
So no surprise here, GT Scott in to fix his damage. And he's in from 7th position. He has a good gap down to Hobby in behind. I think Hobby is just gonna make it through. And there he goes. Or not even what? No, Hobby's down there.
So that's gonna be able to get around there. So
Hobby is not. So that's actually just a close battle. It gets out right in front of ERT Hobby.
Did he pick up that penalty right now? I think he did.
For cutting turn 1?
Yeah, for getting on the AstroTurf on turn 1.
Might have been.
So that's very unfortunate as he gains the opportunity to make a pass, but he has so much penalty that it'll basically balance it out. And it's going to be very, very distracting as well. So the question now is, does he try to rub it off?
He can't rub it off.
Oh, it's a permanent one.
It's a permanent one indeed.
It's a permanent.
Oh, as they go side by side, it's the trackways down the bridge now. Oh, it's not, because Hobby certainly got the better exit. He put the pressure onto GT Scott all the way down the S section and forced him into making a mistake onto the bridge, and then came with a strong cutback to take away 7th position.
It's a very difficult prospect being on the front, and you're trying to brake as late as possible, and on these tires you're having to run probably a bit of brake balance that gives you a bit more of sliding, and you have so little grip on the braking that it's very skittish. We saw that right there, but Hobby was able to control it and actually got a very good exit from it. At the moment, Scott is just fighting to keep the gap as close as possible, but he seems to be losing out a little bit.
Yeah, he seems...
We have the leaders in the pit at the same time here, Shoss and Dr. Hash. Shoss is out already.
And Hash is in here, and same goes for Junaleska. Let's see where he comes out. Smoothly out into 2nd position, Dr. Hash. So not even any additional traffic.
Completely trouble-free for the two German leaders here. Schosse seems to have built up the gap even more. It's now 10.2 seconds, 10.3 seconds.
You gotta give the two Germans that they're doing a very German job of, of leading the race so far.
Efficiency, organization, no mercy.
Complete order.
Meanwhile, ATT is up into P3, but he still has a pit stop to do, so it's going to be interesting to see where he comes back out. But he certainly made a great effort trying to recover from whatever happened there in the beginning.
Of course, he still has to make his first pit stop as well. But now with some clean space in front, it will be interesting to see. He's only just 4/10 down on his best lap. And I think his best lap is certainly up there with Schosse. So a very good job from him to move through basically the entire field on his first stint.
Yep.
And will
certainly proving what could have been, which is always a thing you feel like you want to when you have a bad start in a race, and he's certainly gone and done that.
Junadeska, of course, on his outlap. Same goes for Hobby and Scott. And I was would pretty much, or would it? No, it's not. It's just me talking shit, basically. Although they're still close, we saw Scott lost some time before he's gone and made that right up.
He must be on a very fast lap here because Hobby was improving on his best lap time as well. So very nicely recovered from Scott. He's actually just looking to the inside. Maybe more of a mind game than an actual passing attempt.
Yeah, but he does put the pressure on and kind of forces Hobby to go a little wide.
Hobby decides to go very defensive because of it, and that's what you get sometimes just from showing yourself in the mirror at the right time. You see it's put Hobby off a little bit. He was actually way in the sand there. Gets a good exit though.
Yeah, he manages to keep the momentum. So important. Oh, there's a bit of a slide there from Scott.
Into the
Hobby! Oh, that was close. Just manages to miss. Bad luck for Hobby, indeed. I think he picked up a little bit of damage in that situation as well. And of course loses out on 5th position for the time being.
Yeah, he just fell off rhythm at the wrong time, and that last corner is actually very hard to get right because you have to carry so much speed, and you're on these very hard tires that just slide along. So you feel like you're gonna hit the wall even when you're being too conservative. So it's very hard to measure, especially if you're off rhythm as Hobby was there. Let's see how or if he manages to recover.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And we just have a word about the doctor himself, Dr. Rob. His PS4 just died on him. Yeah. And that's worthy of a lot of Fs. I think
that is
it has been a spillage of Fs this race all the way through. We haven't really seen anyone being lucky yet. We've just seen a lot of...
outside of maybe Schosse because he got the perfect situation behind him. Of course, you need to make your own luck in racing, and Schosse did that as well. So I'm not trying to take anything from him at all. It's just a bit of a stretch to say that no one was lucky because someone has to be in P1.
That's true.
And
that's true.
P1 will always need a bit of luck.
Indeed, indeed. But we've certainly had a lot of bad luck.
We have Doctor revealing that he bought a PS4 Pro today before the race, but it didn't have time to change over. So, I mean, I guess Rob, obviously that's what we're seeing, his jealousy.
Yeah.
The older PS4 not able to cope with getting replaced with a newer, younger model.
I think Hobby accidentally gave a nudge to Scott, who in turn lost quite a bit of time. He got pushed into the gravel there, and that opened the door for Thomas to go right through up into 5th position. But also gentlemanly driving from Hobby just to let off immediately and give back the space. Yeah. That is, of course, what we want to see.
Fair play from the Dutchman there, and I think we're going to see quite a bit of a partnership developing between Scott and Hobby, because it's going to get right back to business between those two, as we see the battle between Lamso and Wizard developing behind as well. I wonder if we're going to go to a 4-way battle with 2 ERT drivers here.
And just to mention on the doctor situation, I think it goes to show, as a stamp of evidence, goes to show that electronic devices have feelings.
Oh, they absolutely have feelings.
Yeah.
PlayStation Lives matters, y'all. I mean, to be honest, Rob, that was a bit of a brave move. You didn't know what was going to develop from that. Walking in and they're both pulling out each other's microchips, screaming, "He's mine! He's mine, bitch!"
So they followed the cameras on board of ERT Wizard. And he's now closing in ever so slightly on Hobby in front.
Yeah, Ladzo just lost out a little bit there. Bit of a shame to see, because I was hoping to shout his name in excitement.
Indeed.
But it's obviously still completely recoverable, so let's see what happens, especially if this develops into a 3-way battle. Everything might just change really, really quickly. Tomama actually losing a bit of his advantage as well. As I just had a very brief stroke there. I'm okay now, obviously. Obviously.
I'm gonna go make coffee.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the coffee. I guess that's why Dirten's so upset.
Yeah, I'm so upset.
Dirten's showing me the amount of coffee he's gonna bring, and it's gonna be about a shoe length.
Still they have the race dog.
Still they have the doggone racing dog. Hello, doggy. If you hear snorting, that's not Dirten being upset about the coffee. That is, in fact, Stella, who's hanging out on the couch now. As we see Hobby just put it in the grass a little bit. It's going to cost him a little bit coming down to the very difficult last corner. Manages to get the rhythm back. Scott is completely in the slipstream, and he's gonna be looking to the inside here. It's such a scary place, but it's one of the safer ones on the track. He gets that done. Hobby has to hold off just a tiny bit. They both will be losing a small amount of time, so that's playing into the hands of both Tomama and Wizard, trying to pick it up from the rear. So close between Hobby and Scott. I think they should share a beer after the race, because they've put on a great display of close battling with the amount of respect you hope to see in a more friendly atmosphere, such as this promotional race, which obviously all things... Scott just drifts it on the inside curb there. They're both pushing everything out of it. Oh, I thought he was going to lose it again there, Scott, but he gets it done. Didn't get the best of exits, and that leaves Hobby able to make an easy pass there. And you saw Scott recognize it and go to the inside, and I don't think he was trying to defend. I think he was actually just trying to open up the racing line for his companion here. Wizard just, as of yet, slightly unable to pick up the remainder of the gap, as Stella half the race gone dog has gotten her harness on, which can make more noise than she can without it. Hi. She always goes completely fucking insane for a few minutes after she gets the harness on, so this is what I'm experiencing at the moment. I'm gonna be calling it shot by shot here. And she turns to the left and back to the right. Shakes it off a little bit. It doesn't come off. So back to the left and then to the right again. Just gave me a tiny static shock there as she touched me with her whiskers. I haven't tried that before. The electric eel dog that is Stella. Stella, you're supposed to leave now.
Yeah, and she's managed to take my spot as well.
Completely take your spot.
I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say about the race. Which isn't a lot.
Do you have something to say, doggy? by now, Josse Sibu90 has a gap of almost 14 seconds to his compatriot Dr. Hash, who's running in P2. He in turn has a gap of 7.5 seconds down to the resurgent MNT driver ATT27G, who really has had quite the recovery here after being P10 or 11 when we found him. Once we got into the commentary booth and gained controls of all of the broadcasting equipment.
I was just gonna check if
he still needs a pit stop though. He's been running one hell of a long stint here, 38 minutes compared to about 28 minutes for the other drivers.
I'm beginning to think that he might be on a one-stopper.
Yeah.
It's certainly beginning to look like it.
It might be a wise decision as well if you realize that he lost a lot of positions and a lot of time in the beginning. It's easier to recover if you run the one stint and you don't have to make as many passes on track.
Indeed.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Indeed.
As we had a brief visitor, an uninvited racer, just join the server only to say "Sorry" and then leave again. Nice to see you there, Mr. Stranger.
He was gone as
Sorry.
he was gone as quickly as he appeared.
Oh no!
Yuraleska is within striking distance also of ATT, so I think.
Oh yeah, he can go on strike at any time. The Frenchman.
He's. They are known for that, the French.
They really are. I think we should check the cars to make sure that they all still have their yellow vests in the back, and that they indeed haven't been used for any type of riot activity here.
Speaking about pit stops, it is time for ATT's pit stop now. He's in fresh tires and then out again. And then, of course, leaves him behind Yuraleska, but in front of Thomas by 21 seconds.
And indeed
even a bit
able
more.
to put on a very, very impressive pace for 40 minutes on one set of tires there. If he can do that one more time, that's the race gone.
Well, he's 34 seconds down now that he's...
I mean, no, I don't mean he's going to win. I just mean it's
the race gone,
very good, and without an extra pit stop, I mean, it's going to be... He's certainly made his recovery to every bit of what he was able to do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a very, very fast pace to be setting on a one-stopper towards the end of that 40-minute stint.
Indeed. Indeed it is. It's impressive
Josse
stuff.
just continues to build. Last time we checked in was about 4 minutes ago, and since then he's gained another 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Why are you killing the excitement, Josse?
Can you wait for Dr. Hash at least?
There's no suspense anymore, Josse.
But what a strong job. Let's take a look with Thomas. He's just around 1.5 seconds in front of Hobby, but Hobby got a bad exit and a bad run onto the bridge. Here on the road part of the track.
Where's Scott? Oh, he's in ninth
Scott
now.
is in ninth.
Scott is in ninth.
Right behind Lamso, and in turn also very close to Wizard.
Yeah, Lamso has gained up all of the ground he lost on Wizard, as we initially thought it might develop into a four-way battle. Pretty quickly Lamso dropped off a little bit, but by now he's recovered that rhythm, and he's gaining ground on Wizard here. Wizard, who seems to be struggling just a little bit. It's getting towards the end of the stint if you're going to be running around 28 minutes. And maybe he's just been sliding too much on this stint and the tires are suffering a little bit. Ah, man, I've been saying a little bit too much in this broadcast. I seem unable to find a synonym.
A wee bit. Scott.
A wee bit.
A wee bit. So let's go on board with Lamso, as he's very close to Wizard indeed now. And in turn, Scott behind. Check that out. He's also very, very close. So 3 cars within just over half a second. Oh, as Lamso completely misses that final exit. He also manages to miss the wall, but that also allows Wizard to break away.
Another situation where Scott has made a pass on that last corner, or did he lose a position last time? I think
I don't
when
know.
he touched the wall, I think he...
I don't remember. I most certainly don't remember. Perhaps it was while I was making coffee.
A quick, on a completely unrelated subject.
Oh, here comes Lamso. I'm sorry, up the inside. I just managed to keep it there, Scott. Defending around the outside strongly. Sorry, I didn't
Lamso
interrupt
holding
you.
off because he's too interested to hear in what I have to say. Oh, I'm sorry, Charles, and pulling back out. You were saying?
You were saying?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to TITU if you're watching this at any point. Good on you for not disconnecting, man. We need more of this in the sim racing community because, yeah, sometimes you need backmarkers in a race and people shouldn't disconnect just because they have incidents.
That's true. As it's Scott and Lamso side by side. Scott on the inside line.
Ooh, very nicely held from Lamso. They're pushing it. Pushing it
indeed.
Grab him by the push. Scott just pulling off the flash of speed there.
I think it's
he gains 2 kilometers an hour.
I think it's the controller flash, the turn flash.
Don't break my realism. It's the flash of speed.
It's the speed flash.
It's something he learned from the wizard. It's a spell.
So this time
Lamso once more looking to the inside, showing himself in the mirrors, but he's not able to come close enough to make any type of move. Oh. Can we get some Fs for me in chat for giving kudos to TU just a second before he disconnected?
The timing.
Maybe also an F for TTU, I don't know. I'm just a commentator, not a cop.
So we've had quite a slaughter of cars, a lot of problems, a lot of technical problems for several drivers, and a lot of disconnects around that.
Lamso goes around the inside, perfectly executed there.
That's a brilliant
Scott
move.
unable to do anything about it, and that puts Scott into last position, which is by now P9. And as you were saying, this is probably going to be the smallest grid of finishers we're going to see in an IGTL race, maybe ever.
Indeed.
Because these races are so prestigious and so good that, normally you don't see many disconnects. What you do see a lot of normally is racing of a high caliber, and that's certainly what you're seeing here. We even have a random connected to the lobby who's thanking them for the racing in spectating. That's how good of a spectacle this is. Oh, Scott in the expensive looking Toyota there, just getting a bit of a poor exit.
Yeah, he lost a couple of tenths actually.
Yeah, quite a lot. Even with the slipstreaming, he's not able to make much of it back up.
No, and he misses the apex and had double scrape of the
wall. The wall there, yeah, unfortunate.
And loses out on almost a second, so that's gonna lose him the slipstream of Lamso as well. Let's have a look at Wizard now. Lamso is still within touching distance, or
that's really, not touching distance.
That's not touching distance, but it's 2 seconds.
You need really long arms for that to be touching distance.
Maybe Lamso is one of the guys from the Fantastic. Is it the Fantastic Four?
Or the really gross baby from Riel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping there's gonna be just one Danish viewer who hears that. Hvorfor skal jeg slås ihjel?
So it's been a while since we took a look at our race leader.
And his helmet.
And his helmet, indeed. It's Schosse, who's doing an absolutely sterling job leading this race. He's been leading it from the flag.
And as I said in qualifying, by far the most boring way to win a race, lights to flag, but probably one of the most pleasing ones.
Yeah.
As a driver, because it's very hard mentally to stay clean and to stay fast enough to keep the gap to anyone behind you. Obviously, Schosse seems to be just from another planet or on another planet or both.
I'd say
because he's going very, very fast here, and he seems to be doing so comfortably. He's not pushing, he's not on the limit. You don't see him saving little mistakes. He's just going round and round.
Yeah, he's very. It looks very consistent, and it looks very controlled, and it looks very. Yeah, that's. It's just on rails for him at the moment. He puts the car where he wants to.
Dirten, your coffee stays hot forever. Get cool. Like
Just
a kid returning from college. I don't know.
so shots are now 20.2 seconds in front of Dr. Hash in second position, but Junaleska is 5.5 seconds down.
He's not dropping away like we've seen many of the competitors to these two Germans do.
No, and he was
still there or thereabouts.
Yeah, and Junaleska has even managed to pull in 3 seconds almost.
I wonder what the gap to between Junaleska and ATG is looking like in the meantime, because
It's
ATG
just about the same.
and that's less than a pit stop. 6.5 seconds.
That's less than a pit stop. I'm quite sure that's just about what a pit stop is, I think. But you're gonna lose a bit more in reality. So I think.
It's looking
We have Dr. Hash pitting in now for his second pit stop.
Those are some blacked out pit crew workers there.
They are very, very.
Good job they aren't doing night racing.
Yeah, they'd be hard to miss. As Junaleska's also in the pits, and ATT just makes his way around. And if it is so that Junaleska, or of course ATT, has made his final pit stop, and we think that as well Dr. Hash has also just made his final pit stop, then it could be a race for the line between these two now.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I gotta say I'm almost baffled by the recovery of ATT here. What a display he's put on. That first stint, he almost didn't lose pace across 40 minutes.
And that's hugely impressive.
And if it really is the case, I don't think he's going to be losing much pace here either.
It's hugely impressive indeed, I have to say. Hats off for ATT so far.
Of course, Dr. Hash, being a bit of a friend of the channel, I'm kind of torn here. Similar to what Natalie Imbruglia went through sometime in the 90s.
Well, saying what I said before has nothing to do with who I'm rooting for.
Dr. Hash is a very nice guy and a very good driver as well, and I would expect to see this battle developing, but just as I say that, the first real development, I would expect this battle to be developing. I don't think it's possible for it to not be developing.
I think it'll always be developing indeed. But anyways, I understand completely what you mean.
Meanwhile, actually, Dr. Hash is just losing a little bit here and there. It's up to 2.2 now.
Thing is that ATT is still on relatively fresh rubber, so you wouldn't see that.
Shots at the race leader into the pits.
Let's see where he comes out, but we'd expect him to be far in front even as he comes out of the pits.
Comfortably so, I'd say.
Indeed. And let's go back with that battle for second. The thing is that Dr. Hash will have done less laps on those tires when they get closer to the end of the race, and that's where we might see it.
You see it just really right there through the last corner. He makes up almost 3/10.
Yeah, that was impressive stuff indeed.
He just invents 3/10.
And Junaleska has made up some time on Dr. Hash as well, because he is just 3.5 seconds down now. So the battle for second position is slowly coming together, it seems, between ATT, Dr. Hash, and TX3 Junaleska.
He just had a bit of a moment there, lost a bit of that time. We said he'd made back up, but if he can do it once, he might be able to do it twice. Here's to hoping from a neutral standpoint that he's able to do that, and we're able to have a three-way battle for P2 coming into the final stages of the race here.
Yeah, that would be great stuff for a race that at least for us, well, it promised something different. I guess we weren't really as you also mentioned earlier yourself, Mr. Trask, we weren't really expecting to be making any kind of commentating on this. We weren't really geared for commentating in that sense.
It was gonna be just one guy making fun of the other guy while he was racing, basically.
Yeah.
I think that was what it was gonna devolve into very quickly. And now suddenly we're back here in the hot seats, the hottest seats of the IGTL, obviously. The English language commentary seats. That's where the real stuff happens.
That's also where the temperature in the coffee comes from.
Oh, that's why it never gets cold. It just stays at somewhere close to 90 for days and days and days.
Now Wizard has lost a little bit of time to Hobby. Hobby is trying to catch up to Tomama in turn.
I wonder if Hobby cringes every time we say Hobby.
Happy. I don't know.
Hobby.
Hippie? I don't know.
You could do like an entire team almost of just like relative names, like Dad and Hobby.
If we get a bro, then it'll be just about perfect.
Dude, race bro.
Now Lamso is catching up to Wizard in front.
It's just been going back and forth between these two, but by now Lamso has actually caught up to the slipstream and will be able to try to make a move coming down the straight if he gets a good exit through the last corner.
And Lamso
both just go completely on the grass, both touching the wall, but seemingly on... Yeah, they just lost exactly the same amount of pace, and it didn't do much of different. Well, actually, Lamso did lose a little bit, and he didn't get the best of exits. So he's actually just out of the slipstream there. Bit of a curse of the commentator moment.
Yeah, very much so.
If that was the case, I'm sorry, Lamso. I'm actually rooting for you here. That's going to be a penalty.
Yep, that's a good call. But that was a very obvious left wheels on the wrong side of that white line.
Wrong side of the tracks.
And just as we thought it was going to be a battle down here, now it's slowly moving apart. ATT is putting in some time into Dr. Hash at the moment.
Yeah, since we last checked in front. He gained about a second.
Let's see how...
Very, very interesting coming. Oh, he just scraped the wall there at the worst possible time.
Yeah, that's going to lose him all the way down the long back straight here. And let's check in with
actually,
Dr. Hash.
For some reason, not really.
No? Dr. Hash now with a comfortable advantage of 12 seconds down to Unaleska. So Unaleska, who was close at some point and within 3.5 seconds. Did he have an extra pit stop? He might have been into the pits. Have a look. On that 36 on lap 20 might have been it. That's what I would imagine at least. So Tomama, he's some way down, still 2.5 seconds in front of Hyppie, and then it's some time down to Wizard, Lamso, and GT Scott. Indeed, Shoss is still leading. It's by 18 seconds after his pit stop, and it's a very comfortable margin. He's doing a strong job at the moment. And of course, Shosse on his final stint. So with that kind of margin, I think would expect him to be able to keep up what he's been doing so far and take it all the way to the line.
Yeah, at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts losing, just bleeding a little bit of time just to be safe, just to be... That's what I'd do if I had a... I mean, I think that's what I'd do if I had a gap of 19 seconds at the end of an hour. I don't know. I haven't ever had the good fortunes of being in that situation. But I think that's what I'd do. Dr. Hash has gained a little bit here. ATT has had some trouble. He's carrying a penalty.
He's carrying a penalty, yeah. He didn't have that before, I think. And he... he lost just about a second. When then in turn, Dr. Hash, I think he got a bad run onto the bridge, and he's lost some of what he gained right back there.
In the meantime, in spite of the fact that this is not the most viewed broadcast we've had, I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. This is the promotional race for the IGTL 3 hours of St. Croix that we're going to be broadcasting tomorrow evening. It's featuring the strongest grid maybe ever in a GT Sport race.
Yeah.
Real life lap record holders around Spa. FIA championship winners.
Yeah.
YouTube celebrities.
Yeah. You name it.
Someone from Canada.
Someone from Canada, and he was a fast boy.
He's a very fast guy from Canada.
And we've had the qualifying session today, and we can tell you as much as that the first 3 guys was within half a tenth of a second. That close it was.
Which isn't the first time out of 3 attempts. I think we've had that happen 3 times in the IGTL. So if you want to see just how insanely skilled people can be at GT Sport, I'd recommend tuning in tomorrow, because it's not going to get much better than that. And as you might be able to tell, we are very, very excited about it. And we've gotten exponentially more excited every time we've done one of those broadcasts, because what level of racing it is.
It's been fantastic shows every time we've been having the IGTL on air, and can I just say that it's been a real honor getting to do these races, getting invited to do these races from the organizing team, and of course jumping onto that and saying yes without a second thought. And since then, it's been no looking back. It's been some fantastic racing. It's been some fantastic stuff to broadcast. It's been amazing fun. But especially just because the level is, as you've mentioned just before yourself, is so high that it just great. It's just a great show, guaranteed. And it's it hasn't failed yet.
No. I mean, I'm having trouble imagining one of these main races ever getting boring, because it just stays so close together between the entire pack. It's unlike anything you normally see in GT Sport.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. So make sure you tune in if you're still paying attention to the blabbering.
And remember that tomorrow's race is a 3-hour race that will be held over 2 stints, which will be carried out over 2 separate lobbies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, of course,
it's a different format to what most of you guys know, but we did it once before, and it was actually very, very good. It worked out pretty nicely, so certainly also something a bit different tomorrow.
It is, and what we saw when we had the last 3-hour stint endurance race at Catalonia was that it all came down to the absolute final lap.
Spoiler alert! You can go and watch it on in our videos. It's still there. You should really go and watch the entire thing. But if you don't care too much about spoilers, it did come back together spectacularly. After 3 hours and 2 drivers in each car, we still had the most spectacular finale. We were both we lost a bit of our voice going through that.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about exploding heads before, and that was the level we were at.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that out if you want to. It's in our profile, and it's pretty great entertainment, I want to say.
Indeed. Lamso still trying to catch up to the Wizard, and out in front, ATT has now gained all that he lost earlier, plus some extra. He's now about 5 seconds in front of Dr. Hash, and in turn, Shoss is still he's just still pushing that advantage. He's now to over 21 seconds.
He certainly didn't heed my advice of just slowing down a little bit, making sure he gets to the finish. I don't think he has to. He's been running a pace that no one else was able to match, and looking very, very comfortably while doing so, which is always the mark of a true champion, is looking comfortable at that max race speed.
That's true. That does require a little bit extra. a little bit more than what your average Joe can perform, and Shosse is doing a very good job at this at the moment. And also, as we've mentioned earlier in this broadcast, hats off to ATT, who did a very good job in qualifying, then had some kind of bad luck upon the opening laps of the race. And the rest of the race has basically been one long comeback session for him. And he's now effectively sitting there in second position and extending his gap to Dr. Hash in third.
Yeah, absolutely. So, an amazing display of strategic overlook as well, deciding to go for the one-stopper, I think, as the only car on track, and pulling it off immensely here, showing that even towards the end of one of those extra long stints, he still has a pace that's able to put pretty much everyone to bed.
Indeed, and I think also it's a showing of mental persistence and of just mental strength in a situation where many others would have thought, oh, this is over, I've lost so much early in the race. This is a guy that just gets his head down and keeps digging at it.
Yeah, absolutely, very impressive.
And shows the result. Chapeau indeed. Junaleska, he is marooned with 13 seconds after Dr. Hash, 14 down to Tomama in 5th. Tomama is 2.5 seconds in front of Hybien behind. I think Wizard is some distance behind by now. He still has Lanzo for company, as Wizard is not diving into the pits.
Psych!
I wonder if Wizard knew that we were going to be calling that. He did it just to
I prefer that explanation to massive oversteer, but I think it was just massive oversteer.
Massive oversteer coming out that final corner. I think you are.
But it would be amazing. It would be amazing.
It would be amazing indeed. He lost a lot of time on it. Now Lamso within 0.3 of a second. So we've joined these two combatants at just the right time.
And finally Lamso make up that quite narrow margin for a long time, and just looking to be ever so slightly unable to do so. But now he's in the strips rim.
I think he gets the run. Oh no,
he gets a very bad exit.
He gets a very bad exit indeed there. Wizard just flying away.
Doesn't get tucked into the slipstream as much as he was hoping for, and I think all he's going to gain from it is just a bit of the margin reduced.
Yeah, it's just losing a bit less than he would have lost otherwise. Oh, and it just has a scrape of the wall, and once more it's back to fighting to close the gap.
Oh man, do I know that feeling when you're trying to get close to someone, and then when you finally do, you get overexcited?
Yeah, I know it all too well myself as well. It's now you really have to make the overtake.
You have to take this corner faster than ever! Which, if you didn't know, isn't the way to go about it.
Certainly not. It seems to be swinging a little bit back and forth between ATT and Dr. Hash. Now it's down to 4.5 seconds. As we see, ATT has lost 2.2 seconds to his own personal best on this lap. So, something that's still confusing me a little bit is that we don't see any kind of timer, or we don't see any laps.
We have no idea when the race is ending.
It'll just be all of a sudden, it'll say final lap. We hope so.
I hope
so too. It'll say final lap, and at some point the race will end. But there's some kind of, I mean, we have some server connection or some server issues with this server. We've had so many problems. We were stuck on the grid, and there certainly is some problems here. And this would be the explanation for all this, because we don't have the replays either. And there's a lot of stuff. So it's a bit of an odd one out, this one, but. First off, we weren't expecting to commentate this race in the first place. We were actually expecting to be in the thick of it, racing. And I think both of us would have also
I wasn't expecting to be in the thick of it. I was expecting to be 20 seconds ahead of Shosse.
20 seconds ahead of Shosse, yeah.
I'm so gutted that this race didn't happen, because it was going to be an easy win for us.
Yeah, that's why I qualified 11th.
Yeah, just to build excitement.
Yeah, because we are way over what Shoss is doing there.
Yeah. I would completely on the same level as Shoss, and not miles behind it at all.
No. What you're trying to say is that we're not at all plebs.
Definitely not plebs.
Let's go on board with Shossi and enjoy someone who knows how to drive this 86 Group 4 round on...
is in fact not a pleb.
Yeah. That's another way to put it. So the final right-hander, which is in fact a 90-degree bend, and it does those both the final and the first corner are somewhat hard to judge at high speed and are easy to carry too much speed into. Of course, he knows his way around it, and also mind you that Shosse hasn't picked up a penalty yet. One of the few drivers not to have done so. That does say a thing or two about his consistency. Then into the tight left-hander down into third gear. Important to cut the apex and then easy on the throttle as they exit with the little bump and the crest.
Look at the marshal in the tiny cage up there. You should notice that next time. He's just hanging out. It's looking like something from a Berlin nightclub.
Oh, that's...
And here we see it again, this region of imaginary France, famous for its cranes. Obviously putting a few of them to display, making sure that everyone knows that this is the part of France that likes cranes the most.
Like big cranes.
We like those big cranes here.
But I'm gonna go back with the lap. It's Shosse on his way around, of course, and over the bridge.
Ooh, just had a bit of a moment there, but he gained a second across this lap, so definitely still a good lap to watch.
Most certainly is. This right-hander, oh, he carries too much speed. It does exactly what you tend to do in that corner. It's so difficult to get the right exit because you just want to carry more speed than you can around it. And then in turn you...
saw a few more cranes on the left-hand side there.
Important cranes. And then a very tricky right-hander here as well. And early braking to be able to have a stable car that can carry the speed. And get early on the throttle. It's a textbook lap so far, almost. He's made a couple of mistakes with a bit of oversteer here and there.
Just passing an angle crane there on the right hand side, and you have a stacked crane and then a crane on the right side again. Coming through the very, very fast left-hander here, you see a very tall crane.
I was just about to say it.
Up front. That guy is on an island on the top of that crane. Well, he's actually on a crane, but...
And is that a crane we see in the background?
Coming down.
Oh, Shosse!
I think this is... What? Was that... This is the checkered flag?
That's the checkered flag! And Shosse has won!
Sibu 90 is the winner of the promotional race at St. Croix. The track of the cranes as he passes... ATT passes the last corner.
And the last crane...
That's a good exit. Now he's going to be passing a few more cranes.
There is no, because it's the last...
Well, yeah, but he's gonna be passing some more cranes.
Oh yeah, of course. Dr. Hash takes third position. Great race from him as well, but I have to mention ATT on taking second despite such a bad start.
Performance.
Fantastic performance. It's Juna Leska coming home for fourth. Not a bad result after all, or at all. Tomaba, he needs a bit of space. We might be able to spot.
Not a driver I was too familiar.
Crane. In behind.
That's a crane behind.
Then
in the back there, and there's a big white crane in the front there.
Certainly, it's going to be
bit of weaving there. He doesn't want to get to the crane too early.
Then it's Hubby taking sixth position. It's Wizard coming home for P7 indeed.
Yeah, he was able to hold off Lamso in the end there with more than 3 seconds.
And then at the end, it's GT Scott. Oh, what happened to
Lamso? That can't be right.
That's weird.
What happened?
Oh well.
So we're happy that you decided to stick it out with us, even though we weren't able to go racing. Very disappointing, but what an amazing race it was. And I want to say, all things considered, we did have a better view of the cranes from the broadcaster's perspective. If we were still in the car, it would be too hard to appreciate the length of the cranes.
And the diversity
of cranes. By far, what I'll remember about this a few months from now will be how many different cranes were present.
And yeah,
cranes. Sounds wrong.
So congratulations to Schosse on doing an absolutely fantastic job and taking that lights to flag victory. That was a very strong one indeed.
Stellar performance. Congratulations as well to NT-ATT 27G for that amazing recovery. What a bird of the Phoenix Phoenix's performance.
That was very strong indeed. That was
rising from the ashes and proving to have probably the best pace on track, running that long stint and just not losing any speed. Impressive. Shouts out to Dr. Hash, our good friend, for finishing in P3. A great race from him as well. Got stuck into some very heavy battling there in the beginning, but kept it all going and didn't lose too much from it. That was very nice to see as well.
And just a general shout out to everyone that was racing today. Always nice to make some new acquaintances also.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of broadcasting here. I think it could have been fantastic, you know, if we just had the start of the race and did not have the problem with the engine that early in the race. It would have been fantastic, you know. But
yeah, it was very unfortunate.
It was indeed super unfortunate that we could not.
Yeah, we'd like to put on the race for you guys and show it to you in a strong situation, but unfortunately, sometimes that's not how things happen.
No, it's most certainly not.
This is not how Danglish we normally talk.
Just to exaggerate it a little bit.
I'm not from Copenhagen, so this is not how I would talk Danglish.
No, it's more.
This is Danglish with a Copenhagen accent.
As you can hear, we are getting a little tired, both Charles and I.
I hope you can bear with us for this stream devolving. I perhaps wasn't even mentally prepared to do 1.5 hours of commentating.
No, neither was
right
I.
There.
But that's what happens sometimes. It just comes out of the blue when you get stuck on grid when you're supposed to race. Anyways, this concludes the promotional race in the Toyota 86. And
tune in tomorrow for the main event. Make sure you don't miss it.
No,
I've said it before. I can't stress it enough.
No,
it's gonna be the best race you've seen in GT Sport. And I spilled coffee on myself.
But like seriously, it really is.
I'm not even exaggerating. It is gonna be the best race you've seen.
We're gonna be firing up the stream around just a bit over 6 o'clock tomorrow, Central European time, and from there on we're gonna be having a bit of warm up, and then the top 5 of the grid is gonna be decided on Super Pole, and from there on it's gonna be 2 stints of 1.5 hour. So a lot of racing tomorrow, a lot of entertainment to go down, and we encourage you all to join us after a good night's sleep here. So with that said, I think all that's left to say is that thanks for joining us on tonight. My name is DirtenDK.
And Tral666.
666.
666666666.
And with that said, take care.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, indeed. Take care. Have fun. Bye bye.
End the stream.
Now. End the stream.